Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is abundance. And when we see, I'm sort of melting in and out here. um, when we think of abundance, we typically think of it as having more and our own possessions. And what if true abundance is shown in generosity? So that's what we're going to be exploring this morning. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light, lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, all your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together and vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop, and allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So today, we are exploring abundance. And it looks like we might not be live on Facebook. So I'm wondering, what do we need to do here? Oh, we are live. Okay, great. Hi, Rosalind. Great, thank you. I always am reassured when you chime in, because then I know that we're actually live. So thank you, thank you. It's always great to have you here with us and everybody else who's joining us as well. So we're talking about abundance today, and most often my experience of people talking about abundance is really talking about excess. And like what does abundance look like for us? And I had this wonderful conversation with one of my clients yesterday, who told me that they had done a visualization about abundance. And what was happening in that visualization is that they were giving away tons and tons of money, and giving it away to support all different kinds of causes and initiatives. And how wonderful is that, to be creating an image of abundance, which is about generosity and giving things away. And so it actually makes me think of the contrast that I was speaking about yesterday, between indigenous values and Western values, and that our kind of culture is about private property and acquisition, and very, very oriented around money, and whereas the indigenous traditions are more around a gift economy. So it's a very, very different foundation. Good morning, Robin. Welcome. So good to have you joining us this morning. So we're looking at what is true abundance. So in so many of the conversations that I've had with or around abundance, it's really excess rather than abundance. So let's look at what true abundance is an experience of truly enough, like satiety, to be having enough. And when we have enough, then we can be sharing. When we trust that there is enough, when we're not in fear, then we can be expressing in generosity. And it may be that that generosity is the true expression of abundance. So Rosalind says, regenerative energy, ability to give without being depleted. And I love that. That's beautiful. And I think that when we talk about being able to give without being depleted, it's very much a being state that we're talking about, right? That the conditioning of our culture is, if I have more, you have less. If you have more, I have less. Like that, we're coming from a deep, deep experience of scarcity. And so we acquire and hoard things because of this internal experience of scarcity. And when we feel abundant, then we can give without being depleted. So it's not a matter of how much we have. It's the way that we experience being with what we have. So it's nuanced perhaps, but I have known, it's interesting. There have been studies done where people who have less possessions are more willing to share with one another. And that's a really interesting dynamic to be looking at, that there's a greater generosity. What is the underlying dynamic there that is allowing people who have so little to share so generously with others? It's very, very interesting. There's a deeper sense of connection and gratitude. And when we can see somebody, when we can connect with somebody else and recognize their need, and maybe not even their need, but just to be able to want to share with another person. There is a sense of wholeness, gratitude, appreciation, maybe lack of attachment to the things when we can feel abundant and grateful for what we do have, and that gratitude is also an experience of abundance. So I'm wondering how this lands for you, to be correlating this notion of generosity with abundance. It's not like I have to have a certain amount of stuff in order to be feeling abundant, feeling grateful, feeling appreciative, feeling connected, feeling generous. That rather than protective and fearful, so that we're grabbing onto more and more stuff, like that there's safety somehow in stuff. And so when we feel safe, I think I think there's a big connection between safety and abundance. Because who's to say how much stuff moves us from scarcity to abundance? I don't think it's a function of stuff. It's a function of our being. It's a function of our perspective. It's a function of the way we think about things. And if we think about scarcity, scarcity is not enough. And when we think about enough, people tend to deride the word enough, like just enough, like enough is scarcity. But when we are at a meal and we say, wow, I've had enough, it's like we're satiated, we're satisfied. And in that moment, we don't need anything more. And so the need is met. And typically, when we talk about abundance, there's an element of excess, an element of greed in it, which is related to the fear. Trying to allay our fear by accumulating. So, when we think about collecting things, hoarding things, it's for fear of there not being enough of something. So Rubin says, when you give with a grateful heart, either material or emotional, it will return for your highest good in one way or another. I think that's really true, Rubin. It makes sense. So what we're looking at is like a virtuous cycle where the abundance mentality is being able to give with a grateful heart, to be generous, to be able to give without being depleted. In fact, to be able to give with being filled up. It's a very different way of being. There's a connectedness and a trust, so that engenders this sense of safety and of true abundance, that I'm not being plagued by fears around scarcity, or survival, moving from survival to living, to thriving. And the quality of our lives is very much dictated by the stories we tell. So the stories we are indoctrinated to in Western culture are often stories of scarcity and othering. and disconnection, separation, and finding gratification through stuff. I don't think I ever really connected this notion of trust and safety with the experience of abundance before, but it makes total sense, right? Because the opposite of abundance is scarcity in terms of mindsets, I think, or maybe it's just fear. So much of our lives so easily can be run by fear. There's a lot around for us to be able to make a story around fear for ourselves. I mean, there's lots that we could justify being afraid about. And the thing is that as we allow ourselves to sink into that fearfulness, it magnifies and amplifies itself. If we allow ourselves to step into gratitude and appreciation and trust and safety, that also can magnify itself, because the way that we interact with the world is coming from a space energetically that is attracting more of that energy. It's like attracting like. So if we believe that the world is a wonderful world or a horrible world, it is, because that's the lens through which we see and experience it and interpret it. And so to this sort of a collection of emotions, this cluster, this dynamic cluster of emotions serve to enrich our experience of abundance. When we are looking at gratitude and trust and safety and enough, satiety, satisfaction, all of these emotions can bring us into a greater experience of abundance in such a way that it's sort of occurring to me that as we step into greater abundance, we need less and less. There's less and less of an attachment to the things as we really truly experience abundance. There's less attachment to the stuff. And so many of us, when we talk about abundance, we're talking about stuff. And I think that that's kind of missing the point, because stuff comes and goes. And we can experience the flow, the in and out flow of stuff, and still be in abundance. So rather than making our experience of abundance and trust and safety reliant on external circumstances, rather than having it dictated by external circumstances, what if we can reside in that place of wholeness and flow and true trust and safety? So not like gritting your teeth and tensing your shoulders and saying, I'm trusting the universe, I'm trusting the universe, not like that, but really connecting to life in a way that we experience the ease of trusting life. So while we talk about abundance, I guess we get to look at, how do we know when we're abundant? Like it's a feeling, right? And so how do we move from scarcity to abundance? Because what I notice is the more people have, the more they feel like they have to have in so many cases. It's not that common that I've seen people say, I have enough. Like I don't need to be striving for more. I'm good. And so it's sort of counter I'm not sure the right word here, but it's kind of counter to the intention of abundance to have to strive for abundance, right? Because what we're striving for is more. Abundance doesn't really mean more necessarily. It's like, okay, when I have this much, then I'll feel abundant. Is that how it works? I mean, we could have it be that when our foundational needs are met, but those needs change, just like or the things that we define as needs change, just like a goldfish in a goldfish bowl, right? More, bigger, right? And so how can we manifest abundance right now? Like, what does that look like in our lives? Does it mean more stuff? Does it mean more money? Does it mean a shift of being? And how can we connect to that shift of being? Rosalind says, breathe. That's foundational, absolutely. Just being able to breathe in gratitude, connection, trust, safety. All of those things, all of those experiences, all of those emotions can elevate us to just be appreciating. Gratitude is another, of course, like appreciating the abundance that exists already, like right here, right this moment, and how deeply, deeply rich we are. And that's not really dependent on things. So when we can free ourselves from the notion that abundance is about stuff, it opens I think it can open the floodgates to the movement of life, and stuff flows in and stuff flows out. Because I know that abundance doesn't have to do with stuff because I know wealthy people who are living in scarcity. It's not about how much, it's about the story. It's about how we be with life, actually. So I guess it goes to the idea of counting your blessings. But again, counting is kind of like how many. Um, so maybe recognizing our blessings, maybe sorting to see all the blessings, looking for the blessings rather than the scarcity. We are so powerful in our ability to shape reality. We are so powerful in our ability to create the world in which we live, and to make that world heaven or hell or anything in between. And we do. And this is something that doesn't even necessarily need to show up as action of any sort in the world. It's an internal action. It's an internal beingness, because there are threats in the world and there are graces in the world. And they've always been there. And we get to interpret them. And it's the way we interpret that determines whether these things in the world are threats or graces. And so generosity is kind of a magnificent expression of abundance. And I invite us all to look at how we can be generous in our lives. And it doesn't mean giving stuff away either, necessarily. It's like being generous with our love, being generous with our heart. And when we're generous with our love, it comes back to us in spades. So anyway, that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel and my Facebook page. And I invite you to please like and follow my YouTube channel as well as Enlightened World Network's YouTube channel. The links are in the description. And it's always such a profound pleasure and privilege to have the opportunity to do these morning musings together. So until next time, so much love to you.